Hey guys, so a friend of mine recently requested that I do a tutorial on kind of contouring basics, etc. And so that's what I'm doing today. So there are typically kind of three different products you're going to do, different types of products you can do contouring with. And by contouring I'm specifically talking about the like brown products that you can use. I will talk about highlighting as well in a second, but starting with contour. So my favourite product for cream contouring is the NYX Wonder Stick. I don't actually use the highlight end of it, but the contour end of it is really great. It's so easy to use, you just push it up and then draw wherever you want to use it. It's so much easier than having to get out a brush to apply it and then a different brush to buff it out, and yeah, and it's really travel friendly, it's plastic packaging, so love this product. The other thing I have is actually a foundation palette that has lots of different shades, and this is the RCMA foundation / concealer palette. This is the VK11 palette. This has lots of different shades in it, from light to dark, that can be used as foundation, concealer, and I like to use a lot of them as contour. There's a very neutral / cool colour here, which is really good for contouring with. So if I'm going for something a bit more extreme and I want lots of colour variation, rather than just kind of one colour for highlighter and one colour for contour, if I'm doing something a bit more complex than that, I'll go for this. So the next thing you can use is a liquid contour. Now this isn't technically a liquid contour, but it works really well as it, I have recently discovered. And this is the Body Shop Darkening Shade Adjusting Drops. So this is a brown liquid, which is normally used for darkening dark foundations. So yeah, as you can see, this looks like this. It's very pigmented. This is basically just plain pigment, but a very small amount of this can be blended in a lot. And what you can do is use a really tiny amount and really just adding very small amounts at a time, you can work it up to quite a deep contour. You just have to be really careful about the placement of it, because obviously liquid, it's my air conditioner, like scent thing, it's an automated one. But yeah, you can use it, if you use a tiny amount of product at a time, you can really build up a really natural looking contour with that. So that's a really good product, but yes, it is harder to control where it goes because it's liquid. And the final thing is a powder contour. So I have a few products for this. Powder contour, you want it to be fairly neutral in colour. You don't want it to be orangey at all. It can be a bronzer, but you want it to be matte and you want it to be a neutral shade. So I have a few examples of that. So Hoola by Bronzer is the cult contour powder. It's a really great shade. It's really pigmented. I don't know if you can see that. It's really pigmented. It is really buttery, so it blends really well, and it's just generally a really great contour powder. Another one is the Wet n Wild contour palette. I have mine in Dolce de Leche, I think. Yeah. So that looks like that. It's a bit drier and a slight bit more orangey than Hoola, but it is very similar to Hoola. It's almost a bit more red tinged, so we've got Dolce de Leche on the bottom and Hoola on the top. That's also a really good powder. Unfortunately I don't have any products other than the darkening drops, which would work that well for contouring dark skin. Obviously I'm fair and I don't have that much experience with contouring dark skin, but if you've got any suggestions, drop them down in the comments box so other people with queries about it can check that out. So on the other side of contouring you have highlighting, and highlighting isn't just using like a bright sparkly cream or powder, well not sparkly but reflective. It's also using a concealer in a lighter shade generally, or foundation even, to bring out the bits of your face that light would hit first. So you're creating shadow with contour and you're creating highlights with highlight. So the places you want to use them, the main place is under your eyes and kind of a triangle over your cheekbones, to pull that area up, and also conceal dark circles, that kind of happens in one. And then kind of the centre of your forehead, down the nose. You can use it on the top of your cupid's bow to make your lips look fuller, and also on the kind of top of the round of your chin. You can also use it along your jawbone, kind of on top of it. If you have a weak jawbone, that brings that area out as well. So for that, I only really have two products that I use. The NYX Sculpt and Highlight Face Duo. This is Taupe and Ivory. I really like the highlight shade. It's too pale for me at the moment, but it works well in the winter, like that. And it's really pigmented and really full coverage. But yeah, it's too light for me at the moment. I have to say I do not like the contour that this comes with because I find it far too red and it just doesn't look natural on me at all. It might look better on cooler toned skin, but on me that's just not a natural looking colour. I need something that's a bit warmer. And the main thing I use is my MAC Pro Longwear in NC20. I'm about NC25 at the moment, so this is just right to do my highlighting with. Also it's full coverage, so it covers my under eye circles, and that's pretty much just the only things that I use for highlighting. I also, the Wet n Wild palette that I use for contouring, it does come with a highlight powder, so instead of a translucent powder, this is one with some yellowish pigment in, like a banana powder, that really brightens up that area, because yellow is a brightening colour. And then you get into like shiny highlighters. So the few I like using are the Colourpop highlighter in Wisp, which is a really lovely reflective gold. Again, I will swatch for you. Looks like that. I also like the Makeup Academy Undress Your Skin Shimmer Highlighter in Iridescent Gold, which is a really intense one that looks like that. Then there's the Makeup Revolution Vivid Baked Highlighter in Peach Light, which is almost a duochrome pinky blue colour, which I've just put in between those two there. And then the Rimmel one from the Sculpting palette, which is a lot more subtle and looks like that. So you take these on the top of your cheekbone, you can bring it down around the corner of your cheekbone as well to bring it pop when you smile in photos. You can do it under your eyebrow, just on top of your eyebrow, your cupid's bow. If you have dry skin rather than oily, you can do it on the top of the round of your chin here, and you can do it down the bridge of your nose. Also do it on the tip of your nose if you actually like what your nose looks like, but I don't, so I never do that. In terms of application, you want to make sure that you're applying literally right just underneath your cheekbone, and you're sweeping upwards and back because you want your face to be pulled this way, not downwards. I'll show you that in the demonstration. You also don't want to extend the line of your contour past the outer corner of your eye because that can really drag your face down. So mine ends down here. I also show you how to use blush when you're contouring as well, because you don't necessarily want it straight on the apples of your cheeks because it won't blend in well with the rest of the colour on your cheeks. You also want to make sure you're contouring for your face shape. So everyone will, there's a lot of guys that tell you, you know, you should purse your lips and make a fish face and draw a line from your from your cheekbone to your mouth, when that's not necessarily the best thing that's going to look great for your face. I'll find some resources that show you kind of what face shapes suit different types of contouring, like heart face shapes and oval and that kind of thing. Okay, so I've done this side already, but I'm gonna go in on this side with my Wonder Stick, and I'm gonna find where the angle of my cheekbone is, which is here, and it ends here, because I've got really undefined ones. And I'm gonna follow that line downwards and not extend that line beyond the outer corner of my eye. Some people will say you want to direct it towards the corners of your mouth, but it really just depends on the angle that your cheekbones are at. Don't just copy what everyone else is doing, because you will have a different face shape from them. And that's how contour can end up looking really weird and unnatural, is if, I mean, contour looks fairly unnatural as it is, but if you're doing it in a way that isn't right for your face shape, then it's not going to look right. And this has always been difficult for me because my cheekbones are different shapes. I have a really asymmetrical face, which is very irritating. And because this product isn't quite dark enough for the fact that I'm a bit more tanned at the moment, I mean, I normally use a powder contour over my cream anyway, but it definitely becomes more necessary when I'm tanned. And I'm using this is a Zoeva powder brush, it's 106. You can use flatter brushes like the 17 cheek brush if you want to kind of chisel out, or you can use more dome brushes which do a really good job of blending out the product as well as placing it in exactly the right place. I really like this brush because of the shape means that you get that dark spot right underneath the cheekbone, and then it blends the rest of the product out. Because what you want is the deepest bit of shadow just under the cheekbone, and then it to blend out slightly on the other side. Right, if you're going full contour and not just doing the cheekbones, this is how you do it. Depending on face shape, this is going to vary for some people. If you've got a squarer jaw, instead of contouring under the jaw, you're going to want to go kind of over it a bit to bring your strong jawline in. If you want to do that, there's no recommendation. Like, really do what you want with your face shape. You don't have to conform to a specific kind of, I mean, I suppose it's all based on Caucasian looks, and you really don't have to conform to that. Just, you know, contour, you can make your face look how you want it to, and that doesn't have to be what everyone tells you it should look like. I just like to sharpen my jawline up a little bit. This is just how I do it normally. I've never really given too much thought to it. Lower the forehead a bit. Also, I do that mostly not because of reshaping my forehead, but because it gives you a bit more of a tanned look. And you can also go over that with some contour powder if you want. And then you can drag it down the neck a bit if you want kind of a weird slimmed neck look. Makeup is weird when you think about it. Right, if you're interested in knowing how to highlight as well as to contour, then keep watching, because I will go into highlighting with both powder and cream. So you lay down the cream base and then you put highlight where you want it to glow more, kind of where the light would hit. But essentially I'm just going to use my typical MAC Pro Longwear Concealer in NC20, which is definitely too light for me now, but works perfectly for highlighting. I've lost my beauty blender. Where you've used contour, you're bringing places on your face inwards, and where you're going to use a lighter shade, your highlight, it's going to bring your face outwards. So you want to hit the high points of your forehead, maybe the bridge of your nose, under the eyes and tops of the cheekbones, top of the chin, and Cupid's bow, because that makes your lips look fuller. Now, how I do this is either to bring it down my nose along, or I take it to kind of almost the bottom corner of my cheekbone there, just because mine ends really short, but that's just to bring this area up, and also it's concealing my dark circles at the same time. It's also good positioning because it hits the acne scarring that I've got on my left cheek. So I'm going to take my beauty blender and I'm just going to work that in. Right, if you want to go extreme and go into nose contouring, this is getting crazy. If I do not do this much on a day-to-day basis. Take this. It really depends on your nose shape, how you want to contour it. Again, do some research on your face shape. Have an experiment. You know, I would never recommend someone to leave the house after the first time they tried to contour. Like, never. I would never do it. Just kind of experiment with it, see what works for your face shape. Now, depending on the concealer you've used, you may even want to set it before you even blend in the rest of your concealer that you've used to highlight. So what you want to do is take preferably a loose powder. If you've got dry skin, I recommend the RCMA No Colour powder. The Laura Mercier one is also supposed to be very good. I haven't got dry skin, but this stuff works for me, and I tend to put a blotting powder over it as well. Also wearing a mattifying foundation today, so that's going to control my oil. That's going to go. It's going to control my oil better than a more dewy foundation would. So I'm taking this on a dry beauty sponge, and I'm tapping it over my under eye concealer because this will stop it from creasing. I'm not too bad for under eye concealer creasing. For some reason it doesn't do that too much on me, but other people it will, especially if you've got oily under eyes or your eyelids are just creasy. I don't know. And you can also take that over the other areas that you've highlighted. You can do this with a damp beauty sponge as well. Mine just happens to be dry and it works fine. Right, so what I'm going to do now is just apply some blush and show you how to apply blush when you're wearing contour, because it's a little different. So I'm taking my Essence Matte Touch blush in Peach Me Up, which I love, and it was so cheap. It was like £1 or £2, thank you Wilko. And it's got pretty good lasting wear on it, to be honest. So what you want to do is, well, for me I don't really have apples on my cheeks. It's just the whole damn thing. But also I don't like applying blush to the apples of my cheeks. One, because I tend to contour and it doesn't look that great, and two, because of my acne scarring, which is on the apples of my cheeks. Putting anything pink over them just tends to draw attention to it, because I have dark spots under there. So instead what you want to do is apply it kind of just over where you had the contour, and between where you're going to highlight, which will be the tops of your cheekbones. And just take a light hand with it, because otherwise you'll end up with far too much powder on your face, and it will just be a crazy muddy mess of colour. So yeah, this is my 17 cheek brush again. You just kind of want to blend the two things together. So once you've done that, there's a couple of things you can do. You can, this is a silly step, but I do it occasionally if I really want a sharp cheekbone, which is to take that beauty sponge and some of that loose powder and to dot it straight under where you've got that contour. And what it's going to do is, if you leave it on for a couple of minutes, this is essentially baking, but I don't do it under my eyes because it looks cakey. And I don't think it looks that great other than for photography. So if you're taking photos for Instagram, go for it. If you're actually leaving the house, maybe don't. So yeah, you just run it underneath where you've got contour and leave it for a bit. Now, whilst we wait for that to bake, I'm going to go in with a highlighter. This is Colourpop's Wisp, which is a really lovely gold, and it feels very creamy. And I'm just going to, because this works best with hands I found, I'm just going to take it on my ring finger and I'm going to pat it over the tops of my cheekbones. And you can bring it a bit further down to where your cheekbone cuts off. So mine ends here. And it just means that when you smile, especially if you've got quite large apples of your cheeks, light's going to hit there as well, rather than just kind of if you're taking a photo from the side. So it just makes your highlight a bit more effective. You can dot it just under your eyebrow, over your eyebrow, just anywhere that the light is going to hit. So I'm kind of going in an S shape here, from just under the tail of my eyebrow, over the top of my cheekbone and down. It really, how you're going to apply a highlight really just depends on the type of highlight that you're using, whether you're using a brush or your hands or a beauty blender, doesn't really matter. I'm also going to take it down the bridge of my nose. I don't highlight the end of my nose because I don't like the end of my nose, so I'm not going to draw attention to it. But I do like adding a bit of shine to the bridge of it. and yeah, you can do your Cupid's bow. If you're dry skinned and you don't mind this kind of thing, you can also put it here on your chin, but considering it's in the T-zone and I'm oily skinned, I do not do that because it would just look horrifically greasy in about an hour. Right, when you've done all that, you can just brush off this powder here. Good one, isn't it? And then you have it. Crazy, crazy contouring. So if you want, because we've used a lot of powder products, and often powders tend to wear off fairly quickly throughout the day, especially on the face, you can take some fixing spray. So I'll probably use the Mist and Fix by Makeup Forever today. I'm going to cover my eyes because if water gets near them, they start watering and it F's up my makeup really quickly. But yeah, you just spray it at your face from quite a distance. And especially when I'm wearing a matte foundation, I like to use setting spray, because otherwise with all the powder products that I put on, everything can get really, really matte. And it can kind of emphasise the hairs on your face and that kind of thing. And there you have it. This is the kind of final effect. Cheekbones where they didn't exist before. And yeah, I hope this was helpful for you. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comments. Please remember to subscribe to my channel so that you won't miss any of my videos. If you have any other tutorial requests, things that you'd like a basics rundown on, let me know. Follow me on all my various platforms that you can find in the description bar, and I will see you soon. Bye!